Oh, hello. You're on time. How perfect. Oh, wait. I should probably use the accent too, huh? Did you also want me to do something more scary for the camera? You are the interviewer. Perfect. I just wanted to clear that up. Aha. Welcome, little mortal, to my abode. Those who enter dare not leave again with all their blood. Was that good? Great. We can have this interview in the living, or should I say dying room. I am too good at this. Don't include that last part. I'll seem silly. All serious. Very serious interview. Please, make yourself at home. Would you like a drink? I have reds. I got A positive, O, even some AB negative. You don't know whose neck I had to suck to get my hands on that last one. I also have red wine, or just water, since you're on the job. Wouldn't want you to be under the influence whilst you were doing such an important job. By the way, let me just thank you for coming out to me. It really saves the hassle of trying to find a hotel with blackout curtains or trying to travel by bat. You simply don't understand the hazards of trying to fly by bat. Especially with all these new airplanes and jets flying all over the place, you could get sucked into one of those fans so easily. I know someone that died that way. I didn't like them, so I wasn't sad about it. But still. Oh, yes, go ahead. Oh, what a cute little recording device you have. How sensitive is the microphone? I don't want to talk too loud or too quiet. That would defeat the purpose of this interview entirely. Do I need to state a name for your records? This is Rel speaking. Rel the... Well, I don't really know if I have a nickname. Just Rel is fine. Let's get to these questions then, shall we? Yes, well, I must admit the main reason I agreed to do this interview at all was because I wanted to clear up some of the stereotypes around us vampires. I see this interview as a way to help clear the name of all vampire kind. Or at least shine a light on how some of us live. I've seen some of the harmful stereotypes, which I dare not name out of fear of backlash. Especially the sparkly vampire one, despite it being fun to watch. Oh, and of course your amazing credentials helped. You've interviewed so many other monsters, told their stories, and, well, I can't wait to share mine. I shall start from the beginning. I was turned into a vampire in 1897 by one of the original founding vampires. So from the very beginning, I had very large shoes to fill. And I say that because the vampire that turned me was fucking huge. I mean, a real tall fella. I had to look right up when I wanted to look him in the eyes, and his feet would walk into the room before he did. I'm pretty sure he was the inspiration for clown shoes, but don't tell him I said that. Vampires hold grudges for a long time. Dracula and Carmilla are still going it after, 100 years? More? Oh, and don't even get me started on what happened when Alucard got involved. And I've only been a vampire for 127 years, so I can only account for that long. Who knows how long they've been actually going at each other's throats. Back to the point. Becoming a vampire was pretty easy in the early days. There was no real police force. Mortals would just blame mysterious deaths on witches, or not care too much. People died all the time back then, from the silliest things. So no one really batted an eye when some random neighbor disappeared or showed up dead one morning. As the years passed, it got harder to feed on people without the public getting suspicious, or trying to investigate things. Nosy humans. I thought cats were supposed to be the curious ones. But after a somewhat functioning police force was made, vampires had to be more sneaky, biting from not just the neck, but other parts, and covering the bite wounds with other wounds, like cutting heads or arms off, or just disposing of the bodies. But that was too much of a hassle. But of course, thanks to modern media and more positive representation, we've been able to simply ask people for blood. Although, the one thing I don't like is the sexualization of us. Like, not all of us want to be called daddy or mommy whenever we want to feed. It's like if I were to suddenly flirt with you whilst you were trying to eat. It's not fun, it's very distracting. Well, some vampires bite for pleasure, sure. Most of us just want to get our feeding done so we don't die from dehydration. Oh yes, my apologies. I don't mean to just complain. I guess the life of a vampire can be isolating at times unless you live in a close-knit community. Which, as you can see, I don't, and I prefer not to. It's not that I don't like other vampires, it's just, as I said before, we do hold grudges for a long, long time. Sometimes over the pettiest of things. Like Miriam, what's her last name again? Baylock. Miriam Baylock. Yeah, she still doesn't like me too much after I accidentally bit into the human she wanted to drink from. But in all fairness, she didn't call dibs or mark the human beforehand. I did offer her a blood basket afterwards, so we're more like frenemies now. A little word of advice. If you ever piss off a vampire, blood baskets are the way to go. Stood on their shoes, blood basket. Accidentally ate their favorite humans. Several blood baskets. But the vampire community is a community like no other. I mean, you're stuck with each other for all of eternity, unless some outside force comes to rid you of your immortality. You're with each other for a long time, so you really have to work on keeping the peace as much as you can. Well, there are exceptions, of course. We were all once human, and, well, vampire fights are fun to participate in and watch. I shan't go into much detail about vampire fights, because, well, you have to see one to understand one. If you ever do become a vampire, do come back, and I'll see if Drusilla will let me invite a +1 again. Oh, well, I do have a few humans I have turned myself. Not many, but a few. I'm not too fond of the idea of being in command of so many vampires. I only turn those who have no other options, and even then, they only stay with me for a few decades before they fly away and start their own community, their own life, maybe even make their own little families. I'm a very proud grandparent to a few little bats. Well, let me just say one thing about what it means to be a vampire. To finish it off with a nice ending. It's lonely, and hard to adapt to when it first happens. But once you find your support system, you know you're going to be fine. For those who are not fortunate to have the person who turned them, accept them, guide them, bring them into a vampire community, my doors are always open. So long as you ask to be invited first. Was that good? I sure do hope you have enough material to make something useful out of it. I would like to delve more into Vampire Society, but unfortunately, I'm only available for so long. I'm off to a council meeting in about half an hour, so I must prepare for that. We may have a long life to live, but we still don't like having our time wasted. No, don't be silly. This was very fun. I just hope that it gives people a more positive look into what being a vampire is like. I see vampires getting negative press all the time, and don't get me wrong, sometimes it's deserved. I just want the world to know that we aren't all total jerks. Yes, I suppose you should be heading off now before it gets too dark and us vampires get to roam the streets. I hope you have a safe drive back to the city, and do email me a copy of the finished version. Or just the draft. Oh, and maybe mail me a paper copy, something to hang up on my wall. Show off to the community when I host my dinner parties. Yes, that would be wonderful. I shall send you an invite when I'm hosting the next one. Bye, and have a safe journey home. Watch out for any rogue vampires.